Since 2001, Norway has had the highest Human Development Index in the world, earning it the status of an advanced nation in human civilization as seen in Human Development Reports. In addition to that, the country was named by the UN as the best country to live in 2009. Norway also received other titles, such as in 2007, when it was considered the most peaceful country in the world through the Global Peace Index, and in 2017 it was considered the happiest country in the world, surpassing Denmark, which was previously at the top of the list. This is truly a paradise here on Earth. Imagine a place where the homicide rate is below 0.58 per 100,000 inhabitants. To give you an idea, in 2014 there were only 2 shootings in the whole year. It's almost impossible to see criminals engaging in confrontations with the police in this country. There are supermarkets with smart checkout systems, meaning they don't need people behind the checkout counter to assist. And if it weren't for the Norwegians, the world wouldn't have salmon sushi. A strange curiosity is that a penguin named Nils Olaf received the title of Chief Colonel of the King's Guard and was nominated by the king himself. The country is known for having the happiest people in the world and also some of the wealthiest. Besides having incredibly fascinating things in everyday life that are worth sharing. Anyway, that's beside the point. Just Norway's oil fund alone is worth around $1 trillion. However, the country only spends 3% of the fund per year. The reason is that they are saving for the next generation. And the Norwegian court is so compassionate with nightclubs that it was determined that striptease is a form of art, so it must be exempt from value-added tax. Everything I've told you so far is just the tip of the iceberg. I'll tell you the best of it throughout the video. But to understand that well, first you need to know that Norway is considered the country with the best quality of life in the world. Norwegians enjoy a high quality of life built on a large state investment. A curiosity about Norway has to do with the origin of its name, which may even lead to disagreement among different etymologists. However, most of them consider that the country's name means the way to the north, being an adaptation of the Old Norse language Norveg. Therefore, initially, the country's name was Norger, but it was later modified to what we currently know. Norway is located in northern Europe, on the so-called Scandinavian peninsula. Norway's history is quite ancient and dates back to, among others, ancient peoples such as the Vikings. Currently, Norway has about 5 million inhabitants who enjoy a high quality of life. The country has modern infrastructure and a highly diversified economy. Norway is one of the most successful countries in the Winter Olympics. Up to here, I think you can already get an idea of what Norway is like. Now let's see how the country became such a spectacular and incredible one. Modern Norway's history is marked by the domination of national territory by Denmark and Sweden. The country faced various political and military disputes with its Nordic neighbors because they wanted to conquer their autonomy. Thus, in 1905, it became independent, more precisely, from Sweden. From then on, Norwegian society showed strong economic and social development. The Norwegian population, mostly urban, is distributed heterogeneously across the national territory, predominantly in areas with more favorable climatic conditions for habitation. The largest cities in terms of population in Norway are Oslo, Bergen, and Trondheim. Population growth has been maintained especially due to immigration, which has increased substantially in recent years. The country receives many immigrants from both more developed countries in Europe and refugees from poorer regions of the globe. The population in Norway enjoys a very high standard of living. An interesting fact is that Norway has some of the most humane treatment prisons in the world. This can be seen even in prisons where the most dangerous criminals are housed. The focus of the country's prison system is on rehabilitating the citizen and not just punishing them. And it is precisely for this reason that there is always a concern to offer them a dignified life. Norway's cuisine is extremely rich and admired worldwide. You should try at least one of the country's typical dishes in a good restaurant. This country has a fantastic cuisine that you must try at least once in your life. An interesting fact is that most Norwegian dishes are made from fish, and one of the main fishes used has a funny name, which is the angel fish. Another meat that is widely used is reindeer. Speaking of cuisine, it's always good to eat some fish with beer, although this drink there is quite expensive, costing around $1 per bottle. And this not only happens with drinks, as in Norway there is a very high tax rate. Norway's government and state management are divided among the executive, legislative, and judicial powers. Norway's form of government is a constitutional monarchy, meaning the head of state is the king and the prime minister is the head of government. The country is one of the most solid democracies in the world. Norway has a strong presence in terms of international diplomacy, conducting various actions seeking to defend human rights, in addition to preserving the environment. Norway's economy is highly developed and industrialized. The local economy is quite diversified, with important points in all economic sectors that guarantee the strength of national currencies. The primary sector of Norway is characterized by the exploitation of oil and natural gas, fundamental elements for generating wealth in the country. Norway also has reserves of various mines in its lands. The high-tech sector is also a protagonist of the secondary economy. The tertiary sector has as its strong point transportation and commerce. Norway has a significant part of the world fleet of ships and boats, with maritime freight transportation being important for the country's economy. Financial institutions and commercial logistics also stand out in tertiary activities. Norwegian culture has strong traces of Nordic culture in general, with great influence of the natural environment on the daily habits of the population. The country is known for its music production, mainly focused on heavy metal, although there are also other prominent rhythms such as jazz. In addition, musical dances and folk festivals clearly rooted in Viking culture are very common in the country. The Norwegian diet is based on meats such as salmon and cod, as well as bread and vegetables. In terms of sports, winter practices such as skiing and handball stand out. Traffic fines are very high and driving drunk does not exist. In addition to losing your license, you pay a fine according to your salary. Norway has been considered the best place on the planet for a woman to be a mother, and this data was exposed based on the analysis of several important factors in that situation, such as maternal and infant mortality rates, as well as economic situations and education level. Norwegians are super punctual. Being 5 minutes late is tolerable, but 10 minutes is considered rude. In work meetings, schedules are super respected, both to start and to finish. This is a claim from Norwegian executives regarding business meetings. Oslo, the capital, is the safest city you can imagine. Walking alone on the street at 11 p.m. and being certain that you won't be mugged is considered the most positive point of Norway. One of the downsides of Norway is that it is one of the countries with one of the highest costs of living in Europe. However, in terms of public safety, Norway has a fairly unique approach. For example, in 2014, police officers only fired 2 shots throughout the year and no one was injured. From 2002 to 2014, only 2 people died facing the police, a reality truly different from that of other countries. In restaurants, you can ask for tap water and you won't be charged for it. In Norway, it is common to drink tap water anywhere, and there is no concept of buying bottled water as in other countries. Norway is known for its advances in gender equality, both in economic and social aspects. This has become a cultural thing, reducing sexism in society. For example, in the elevator, people usually don't greet each other, which is normal for Norwegians, who are not considered rude, but simply more reserved compared to other cultures. Norwegians have a simple way of dressing and are not as consumerist in relation to clothing. There is a law advocating for equality, and feeling superior is not well seen in Norwegian society. Norway is one of the countries that contributes the most to the United Nations, participating in internationally recognized missions such as in Afghanistan and Kosovo. In Norway, there are cities that can go 2 months without seeing sunlight, which is called polar night, due to the inclination of the Earth's axis. Being a relevant country in different aspects, it has founded several organizations such as the United Nations, the Nordic Council, NATO, and the Council of Europe, among others. It is common in Norway to leave babies outside when they have to sleep, even if you are going to a restaurant. Generally, there will be baby carriages outside with babies sleeping in them, as it is normal in most Nordic countries. If you liked the video, leave your like and your comment, and don't forget to activate the bell to be notified of new videos.
See you in the next video.